All right, everyone, we're here.
We made it.
We made it. We are parked in Quartzsite.
We are here with Jason and Jennifer from No Sticks, No Bricks.
They're right over there. Today we are installing our system. We are going to get started by just kind of mounting everything, get a feel for how everything's going to go. We're going to walk you through this process. All right, day 2 starts now. Let me give you a recap of what we did yesterday. We basically mounted all of the DC components. We ran all of the DC wiring, well, almost all the wiring. We ran all the AC wiring, and we hooked up most of the DC stuff so that we don't have to really do that today. And so what today is focused on is getting it finished. So getting all the AC wiring connected into the rig, and then those batteries mounted so that we can actually be running off of our multi-plus inverter converters. So that is what we are doing today. And then, if time permitting, we're going to clean up the wiring and all that other stuff. May wait for tomorrow just to kind of put everything back together. But today, by the end of the day, we should be running off this battle-born system. Next step is we're going to put the batteries in their place and then measure the wiring that we need to actually run the batteries up to the Lynx distributor, and then take the batteries back out so that we can go ahead and finish off all the wiring. But we already got our bracket in, the back bracket for the batteries, and then the front bracket will go in as we mount the batteries for the last time. So right now what I'm doing is getting these batteries into position. You see the back bracket that we made?
And we made that to give the floor support?
Yep. And there will be one that goes across the front of the batteries too. But I have to get them in place so that I know how long to make the next wire, because the batteries will connect directly into the fuse, well, into a switch, and then into the fuse, and then into the smart shunt. And lots of wiring, and then there's going to be lots of cleanup that I have to do with wiring management.
There's a lot of cleanup, period. We're in the dirt.
I know, like, I'm just ready to get it all wired and working. I put foam right here because up here is super flimsy, and then that way when we're inside of it, we're leaning on it, it started to bend, and this has helped out tremendously. And plus, when we put the inverters up there, we had to put the inverter, like, you have to put it up there, get in the bay, and then try to mount it. So it was kind of tough with this thing being so flimsy.
Gotcha.
Yep. So we got the next bracket done too.
Right now we are with no power.
Yep, don't open the fridge for a little while.
Yeah, so I told Michaela.
At least we're doing it now when it's cooler.
Yeah.
Trying to get it done so we can at least get everything back on and then roll. Crank up these new inverters. Get the firmware updated.
I am working on the transfer switch.
In that little tiny hole.
Yep. So basically what this transfer switch does is it has two ways of getting power into it. One from the generator, if you got your generator running, and one if you're hooked up to a pedestal like at a campground. Okay. So what this switch does is both of those powers come into the switch, and then the switch determines where the power is coming from, either the pedestal or the generator, and then diverts that power to your circuit breaker box, so it's distributed out throughout your camper.
So that's why there's a pause when the generator.
That's why there's a pause. Yep, and you'll hear it click.
Got it.
But since we are installing the multi-pluses, we are going to run 2 different lines from the transfer switch to the multi-pluses, because they will also charge your batteries, and then from there it'll go to the circuit breaker box.
Okay, a little bit extra.
Yeah, a little extra wiring, but it's going to be awesome when it's done.
I put the second battery back in so that I could see how far this jumper cable is going to go, so that I know where this battery is going to be. So that's basically about the final position. So now I have to measure a wire from here to the wall and up to that, and then one from the bottom to the wall and up to that. And so when you're running a battery in parallel, the negative will come off of the opposite battery. So for instance, the positive on this one is running to the positive on this one, and we'll run positive wires up to the system. The negative from this battery will jump to this one, and we'll run the negative off of this side.
Right.
But what you have to think through is that you want the wiring to be the same distance from the batteries, the length of wire to be the same from each battery up to the system, so that it's pushing
the same amount of
it's pushing the current the same distance at the same time.
So it gets the same feed.
Yep. So it's getting the same feed from positive and negative. So that's what we're doing that's what I'm doing right now, is getting kind of the positioning of them and then figuring out how long I need my wires. This is a lot of work. Like, I've come to the realization, like, people that do this all the time, like, kudos to you guys, because this is a ton of work.
Like Mike and Leanne with the drag campers?
Yes, my gosh. Like, I have so much respect for what they do.
When you're hooked into 50 amp service at a campground, it provides 2 legs of power. Each one has 120 volts. Here's one, the black one, and here's the other one, red one. So when you're hooked into 30 amp service, there's only 1 leg of power coming into your RV.
Okay.
So
it distinguishes which one to...
Right. Yep. One of these is set up on... Well, they're both go to the same circuit breaker. So they both will power... So when you're hooked into 30 amp service, you'll still be able to use everything in your RV, just not as much.
Right.
Because...
And that's why it will break. It
right.
will trip.
Yep. So since we're installing 2 multi-plus inverters, each one of these is going to go to the inverter. That way, when the power comes in, it goes through the transfer switch that I showed you earlier. The transfer switch then diverts it to the multi-pluses. The multi-pluses will determine whether it needs to charge the batteries. It'll send power to charge the batteries, and then it'll also send power here to your circuit breaker box to put power throughout your entire RV.
Awesome. How come there's empty ones on the bottom of the fuse panels and empty
down
ones?
Here?
Yeah, and
these are just
over here.
So these are just fuses that haven't been used because there's no wiring going to them. See how there's wires?
So we can add extra stuff.
So you can add extra stuff there.
Cool.
Yep, and so we're gonna actually use some of these. So this is the AC side, and then this is the DC side.
Okay.
This is all direct current, battery current, or battery voltage, and then this is AC side, alternating current, which comes off your pedestal. So we're actually gonna use some of these because, see this white wire right here?
Yep.
This is your neutral. So we're gonna have 2 of those since we've got 2 different lines coming in, one from each multi-plus.
Right.
So each one's gonna have a neutral, a power line, and then a ground, which is that copper wire right here. For our wiring that we bought, it's going to be a green wire. So we're gonna actually use a couple of these empty ones, the ground and the neutral.
Awesome. So it won't look.
Because right now it's just one, but now we're gonna have 2.
So I got both lines. I made sure that they were the same length before I started figuring out where my cutoff switch was going to go in the red line. Now I got to make some cables. This is by far my favorite. I think this is our favorite tool so far.
So, pro tip. When you're making battery cables, don't go buy battery cable. Battery cable is super stiff. It's hard to work with. You buy welder's cable. That's what this is called. And welder's cable is nice and pliable, easy to move. It heats up, it shrinks down on the terminal and the wire, so what it does is it prevents water intrusion from getting between the terminal and the cable itself. And it also makes it look really nice. Multi-purpose fire starter / shrink tuber.
We're just going to check to make sure we didn't compromise the connections here. So we're going to do a little bit of a continuity check. All right, so what I'm going to do is you just hold it on each end of the wires, and there should be low resist. That's what it's showing ohms.
Correct.
So it should be very low, a very low number. 0.3 is good. So that means that there is good connection all the way through. We got a pretty big heavy duty one because we got a lot of juice running through the system. This is going to go down in there. Then that will go up to my fuse. And then the one coming down off of it will go to the battery. Only on red side, only on positive side. And this will kill power to everything. The entire system with one switch.
Ripping it all out.
Ripping it all out.
Boom.
Pretty.
Boom. Your new favorite word.
Ready to go. Well, Jason's been saying it the whole time. I blame it on Chad.
What's that?
Boom.
Boom.
We watch too much Changing Lanes.
Yeah.
And
Chad's fault.
It's his fault. Jason just finished the transfer switch, and now he's working on the breaker box. And I just finished the smart dongles on the multi-plus inverter converters. So the reason you put smart dongles on here is that is Bluetooth enabled, so it allows us to monitor everything pretty much for each of these multi-plus through our phone. So that's pretty nice. Jason has finished the transfer switch. He's got one leg of power or cable running to the panel now. One more to go in there. In the front bay, I've been working on DC, he's been working on AC. In the front bay, Links distributor's done. The smart dongles are done. The big fuse, the slow blow, and the cutoff switch is all wired in. And the generator is now run up through the Links distributor. We got the fuses in there for that. I left the fuse out for the smart charge controller, the solar charge controller, just because we don't have any panels right now. So we got to get those panels, but everything's wired in for when we do get them. Next thing is just make sure all my connections are nice and tight, wire my smart shunt, then it's time to put batteries in. Everything's grounded. We're coming to a conclusion. I think we're about an hour away from having power throughout the entire rig, just running on batteries. It's so exciting. No more, can you start the generator? I need to make some coffee. So we'll see how that goes. Also, I know it looks like a bit of a mess right now, but I'm gonna go back and clean everything up after everything is wired and ready to go, and then we'll start doing the wire ties and making everything pretty.
So the two lines, one coming from each inverter, one up top, one at the bottom. Your top one, there's line 1 power. So that's one leg of 120 volts, the neutral and the ground. And then your bottom one, your second inverter, that's one leg of 120 volt power, neutral and ground. So they both go to your 50 amp breaker. I got all the breakers off though, so once we fire it up, we'll do some voltage checks here at each leg to make sure it's 120 volts on each leg. Okay. And then if it is, then we'll flip the breaker. And
we are done. We think. we think we're 96.5% confident. Batteries are in, everything's wired. We're just doing final checks with the multimeter, and then we're getting ready to do that first twist of the shutoff valve or shutoff switch. Yep. We're gonna check all the AC voltage inside, make sure that's good, flip the breakers one by one, make sure everything comes on as intended.
When you're checking DC, you go power to ground, right?
Yep.
But when you're checking AC, you go power line to neutral.
Okay. Our
power lines are black and our neutral line is white. So when I put it on black and white, it should be 120 volts AC. What's that one say?
120.
Okay.
We have turned the system on. We have checked the transfer switch. It works. We turned the generator on. It's charging our batteries. The fridge is on. Everything is on. Everything is working. Everything is awesome. This system is so nice. I can't thank Jason and Jennifer enough for the work that they've done to help us out on this journey, because it would have taken me at least a week to do it by myself. Tomorrow we're going to be up on the roof installing the soft starts. So we got 3 ACs and 3 soft starts. It's pretty cool. Everything is running off of batteries now. Now all we have left really is cable management and putting everything back together and cleaning this mess up because it looks like a disaster. We are done. What do you think?
It looks amazing and it seems like it's gonna be great.
And everything is on inside.
Oh yeah, well I haven't been inside.
Oh.
I've been out here cleaning.
Well, everything's on inside, so it's pretty awesome.
Yes, so our refrigerator stays on regardless if the generator's on or just the batteries are on. Of course we can't test it with shore power yet, but I'm sure it won't change.
Right.
So pretty great. We plugged in just the batteries last night before we finished everything up, and the generator didn't cut on at all all night long.
But the cool thing is when we go to campgrounds now and we have 30 amp, those multi-plus will actually make up the difference with the battery and give us 50 amp all the time.
Right, so if we have to run the air conditions, then it's okay.
Yep.
We can do everything we'd normally do with 50 amp.
Good morning, it is day 3 of this install. So today, what we are going to be doing is actually installing something that's pretty cool and something that will help our system out tremendously. And that is these bad boys right here, which are the Micro Air Easy Starts. So we have 3 of them, one for each AC up top, and that just helps kind of curve the amount of power that it's using to get started. And I've seen some videos where it says up to like 60% of the startup. So that will be very helpful while we were out here boondocking in the heat of Quartzsite, the desert. But yeah, we're going to be doing that today, and that should wrap up our installation of the Battleborn system. So we are ready to be doing that. What do you think?
I think it's amazing.
Yeah? How was it?
Last night?
Last night.
So we ran a lot of things, including fans and the like exhaust fans. We made what, 2 cups of coffee? Mm-hmm. We did a bunch of stuff.
Still at 13 volts this morning.
And generator never cut on.
Charged my laptop so that I could finish editing this week's video and get it uploaded.
Yep.
And did all that. Charged the drone batteries, charged my camera batteries.
The phones.
Yeah.
The kids, I think the kids had like 3 plugs plugged in. One was a fan, one was a computer, one was a phone. Mm-hmm. And still, no...
We didn't know what we were missing.
No generator.
Like, we didn't know what we were missing. Like, well, I mean, it's the little things.
I mean, we had a clue. Like, that's,
right.
That's why we started this whole conversation months ago.
Right.
With just wanting to upgrade our battery system.
Right.
Like, even without solar, like, it's just... It's great.
I can't wait till we get some panels on that roof.
Yeah, because even once we add the solar to it, we won't even have to worry about the generator unless it's a cloudy day.
Right.
So...
Because we're going big on the solar system. We're going to start small. We've set it up to go big.
Yeah, so we've made it to where we can keep adding 2 panels at a time until we have the amount that we want.
Yep. Just waking up and being able to make coffee without having to start the generator. It's the little things in life.
Just being able to plug in your phone at nighttime without having to worry about which plug you're using and things like that. Like,
I still can't get past the coffee. I made coffee this morning and I was like, I didn't have to turn generator on. It was amazing. All right, well, we're going to start on these easy starts before it gets blistering hot out here.
Yeah, it's already like 72.
Yeah, it's already a little warm. So and we got 3 to do.
Yeah.
So first one's going to take the longest, obviously. Again, this is not a how-to. We're just showing you what we're doing. But the first one's going to take the longest, and then hopefully we can divide and conquer on the last 2.
Yeah, we're definitely not professionals. So.
No, always consult a professional if you're planning on doing any of this.
We consulted like 3.
We consulted a lot.
So.
Yeah. All right, up here are the ACs. Gonna get started. Just got all the tools up. Waiting for the old man to get up here and help me. But yeah, we're gonna start. I think we're just start on this back one right here, since the front and the back are on the same leg. And that way, if we do get one, it's at least one on the, or there's 2 ACs. And then hopefully it's not too bad, and then we can just divide and conquer on the next 2. Knock them out a little bit faster. So that's the plan. Got to get this cover off. We got the wiring diagram downloaded, and then get working. It's kind of a pain because it hooks around. Dun, da, da, da. All right, so follow the white wire to the compressor, which I did. Indicated by the green arrow. Disconnect the white wire, cut off the end of installation. White wire from the brown wire of the Easy Start. Brown wire of the Easy Start will go here.
That's it, huh?
It's kind of hard because it's super windy, but I just wanted to say we're done with the first 2. Got the last one to install. It maybe takes 20 minutes a piece, if that. The longest part is getting the covers off and getting the wires in place and stuff, but other than that, it's going pretty smooth. guess what? We are done. We have installed easy starts on all 3 ACs now. If you want more information on how to start it, the manual that I used, everything like that, it will be in the description below. Again, this isn't really a how-to video, but just kind of showing you what we're doing in terms of upgrades to our rig. All that information you will need in the description below. Find a link. There's a bunch of different manuals for the different types of ACs, so make sure you find the one that is right for you. It is our last day here in Quartzsite. We are packing up to leave. One of the things we had to rethink is kind of like our storage stuff, because I used to store a lot of stuff in that front bay there. It has to all go in the side bay now. So, because I don't want anything taking a chance of anything going in there and kind of bumping it. Everything is, all the components, all electronic components are in that front nose. That meant everything else had to go in this side bay, because I don't want to take a chance of toe bumping into a wire, knocking something loose, and then next thing you know, you got bigger issues. So we are leaving Quartzsite. A couple of things. Quartzsite is pretty cool. I mean, it's dusty. It's super dusty. But if you don't mind that, great place to be. Hindsight, it's funny because it was 70 degrees here last week. It's going to be 70 degrees here this week, in the 70s. The days we did our installs was 95, 95, and 98 degrees. So, like, we got the 3 hottest days probably since last summer. But it's all done. All the components are in. The soft starts are on the ACs. We were able to do everything we needed to last night and this morning. Haven't run the generator since yesterday when we were running, like, we were really trying to cool it down in there. I mean, this has been a great success. You guys are awesome. Battleborn, thank you again so much. Jason, Jennifer, thank you guys for the assist in doing the electronics. Couldn't have done it without you guys. We are so grateful for the community that is backing us to get to where we are. All right, we are done. We're wrapping up in Quartzsite.
I know, we've had a good, what, 4 nights?
Yeah,
4 nights.
3 days of work.
3 days of work.
And then yesterday we got to kind of lounge around a little bit more.
Yeah. It was a good day.
Yeah.
And then today we woke up to nice clouds, a nice breeze. So it's actually a really good travel day because we weren't sweating our butts off packing the RV.
It would have been a great day to actually be here.
Yeah.
That's it, we're leaving. What do you think? New system?
You know
so
what?
far?
It's amazing, and I want to say a huge thank you to Battleborn for providing the system for us, and then also to Jason for helping us, because like without the 2 of those groups of people, like this definitely would not have happened.
The community is awesome. Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah, the RV community all in its own is amazing, but that system, we have barely had to use our generators.
Just when we were trying to run all 3 ACs.
Yeah, just when we wanted, because it was 100 degrees in this camper.
Yeah.
So we had to run all 3 ACs to get it to cool down some so we can even go to sleep.
Other than that, showers, coffee, hot water,
washing
breakfast,
cooking
dishes, everything else, we haven't, our generator has not kicked on.
Nope. So
which is pretty awesome.
Amazing.
So that does it for today's video. We want to thank everybody again that was involved. We really appreciate all of the help, and we can't wait to use the system even more. We've only got like a couple days in now.
I know. I'm excited to this travel day.
Next thing, solar panels at some point. The charger is in. We just got to get the panels. Wiring is done. So, all right. Well, if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you really like it, make sure you subscribe.
Ring the bell so you get notified when we release our next video.
Until the next strange adventure.
Keep making your own.